creation. The old has passed away, the new has come.
I was raised in the Midwest, and I was always believing as I was growing up that every night when I went to bed I had to repent of every sin. And so as a child I would lay in my bed and I would repent and repent and repent and try to think of every single sin that I'd committed that day. And by the time I was about 12, 13 years old, I realized I couldn't do it. I would lay there in bed and I'd realize that there were all these sins that I'd committed all day long that I couldn't repent of, and it scared me because I thought, how am I ever going to be forgiven if I can never remember every single sin that I've ever committed? And I really saw myself as an evil person, as someone who had so much sin in their life that I couldn't even remember all of it. So at that point I kind of threw everything to the wind and I said, you know what, forget it, I can't do it. And I started getting into deeper sin, into a lot of mischief. My family moved at that point to another city, and it was really important to me, my peers in my life, and I started really seeking to please my peers and really avoiding my parents as much as possible. By the time I was 16 years old, I was really sexually active. I was into a lot of partying, and my life had turned upside down. My parents came to realize that I was living a double life, going to church on Sunday and during the week living completely differently. I left to go to college. In college I joined a sorority. In that sorority I held a really high position, and I was the social for that sorority, and I planned all of the parties and ordered all the alcohol and all of the drugs and everything. And during that time I felt this guilt, this overwhelming guilt that I was trying to drown with all of those things that I thought would bring me happiness, but every morning I would wake up feeling worse than I did the night before. By the time I was 21 years old, I was in a bar, and while I was in that bar I met my husband, and we both spiraled completely out of control for about 2 months before he left to go back to his college and finish his master's and me to finish my bachelor's. We found out that I was pregnant. And the night that we found out that I was pregnant, I just raised my hand up to God and I said, God, I know that you're there, and I know that I'm a sinner and I've made such a mess of my life, and I'm completely helpless and I just don't know what to do. And that Sunday, I went to church and I heard the gospel, and I understood it for the very first time. I understood that there wasn't any possible way that I could repent of every sin that I've ever committed or would ever commit, but that Jesus died. He took my place. He took the death that was the consequence for all of that sin, and He took the sin away, and all I had to do was believe. And when I believed, I wish I could tell you that my life completely changed and I was a perfect person. I'm not perfect, even still today. But Jesus' perfection, His perfectness, His righteousness, that's what God sees. It's been imputed upon me so that now I can live freely, I can live in joy, and I can sing praises to my God, and I can live my life in a way that glorifies Him.
I'm a new creation. The old has passed away, the new has come. God has given me a new heart, a new spirit,
sprinkled clean by the blood of Christ from an evil conscience,
baptized into Jesus' death and then
walking in newness of life, dead to sin.
I consider myself alive to God. I'm in Christ. I'm a new creation. The old has passed away, the new has come. And I've been born again in the Spirit, free from death and sin. There's no condemnation for new creation.